Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So on this one here, I wanted to talk about The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, and just how the show's doing overall. And I wanted to reference an article here that I saw from LA Times that honestly, it's actually really incredible because it really goes into the fact that, a lot of franchises over the last however many years really are struggling right now. But The Walking Dead, yes, it has had its low moments, but it seems to be getting better. It seems to actually be getting better, and weirdly, it's sort of surviving the change in television and stories like The Walking Dead and whatnot. So I want to get into that because this article really does get into like everything that The Ones Who Live has been doing, and yeah, I just want to give my thoughts on this overall. So before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. Episode 4 is almost here, so if you want to get my review, my trailer breakdown for episode 5, and also my breakdowns of all the crazy moments happening in this episode, so I imagine this episode is going to be a really big one here, right? So yeah, so I want to get into this article here. So definitely I'll leave a link in the description of this video. Go and check it out because I'm only going to be like referencing one part here, but it's a very, very awesome, well-written article. And honestly, it goes really into like what The Walking Dead has been through over the last however many years, and just how well The Ones Who Live is doing right now and whatnot. And yeah, there's some references to, like what AMC is sort of saying, and also Scott Gimple and whatnot. So definitely, again, really recommend checking it out. But the article here really does say, like the headline of the article says, Hollywood is facing serious franchise fatigue, how The Walking Dead bucked the trend. So what they're saying here is, I think in a lot of franchises out there right now, like Marvel and whatnot, there's a lot of fatigue, right? And I think that a lot of people are just kind of feeling like they don't care to watch a lot of these shows anymore. And The Walking Dead somehow has survived a lot of that. And I will say, when it comes to that, I don't think it's not like it survived it and it was fine, right? Like, if you look over the last however many years, like, it's been a struggle for sure, right? Like, I think its low point was probably around, I would say really it was like 2021, maybe going into 2022. Definitely a very low point, and I can see why they wanted to end the show and then just start these spinoffs, because you need to focus on quality and whatnot. And the article here actually does mention that too. Like, if you think about it, back then, they were doing like so many shows every single year. I think it was over 40 hours or whatever it was of Walking Dead content. I don't remember exactly what they referenced here in the article, but it was a lot. And it's because like they had The Walking Dead, right, which was however many episodes. You had Fear the Walking Dead, and then you had the other spin-offs and stuff, right, that would have all those other episodes. And so it was a lot of Walking Dead content all the time. And so you could have, I think, done it better. I think the stories at the time just weren't the best, and I think it could have been a lot better, because they are sort of changing the approach here, where they're starting to like lessen the amount of Walking Dead content we're getting every year. Because if you noticed, we're getting Daryl Dixon at some point this summer, and then it looks like we're not going to get anything until like early next year. And so to me, I guess that is sort of a response to, to being a little bit more just focusing on quality, I guess. Like, if you are going to be around and have a show that's really amazing, then have the show really amazing, but for less episodes kind of thing. I will say, I think that definitely is a smart approach overall, but I think you could do more than what you're doing, because there definitely was a really big, like, and I can see why after The Walking Dead was over, they waited so long for any other Walking Dead content to sort of come out, right? It makes a lot of sense, I think. Like, I think that having quality content out there and all that, then yeah, I totally get that. I just think that in terms of the story, I think 8 episodes works over 6, to be honest. Like, 8 episodes to me, there's just moments where, and again, it's hard to see with The Ones Who Live right now because we're still watching it. But I wonder if after this show is over, if we're going to look back and be like, yeah, you could have added 2 more episodes to explain this part better, or to get more into that kind of thing, right? Because I think with Daryl Dixon and with Dead City, that was sort of, it was like around the middle point of the show where I was like, you need an extra episode or 2 here, right? Where you can just sort of get into the characters more, explain things a little bit better. And I think that, it just felt more rushed at that point. And it felt like that a lot with Dead City. I know that in episode 4, it really felt like that. Like, once we got to episode 5, I was like, hey, all these characters are dead, and now we're at the finale here. There was a lot that probably could have been explained with that group, and, getting into some other stuff there. Like, you could have did at least another episode. Like, maybe you could have done 2, but like at least 1 more episode, right? And then I think with Daryl Dixon, I would say the same exact thing. I think it needed at least 1 more episode. And The Ones Who Live so far has been overall fine, but I will say, in terms of the overall content, I mean, the first 2 episodes were basically like a catch up on like what the characters have been up to. Really great episodes. I enjoyed a lot of it, but episode 3 was the first episode where it's like, okay, now we're here with the characters in the present timeline. what's going on, right? And now we're already halfway done this season. I'm hoping it's just this season. I'm hoping that this isn't just the end of the show, end of Rick and Michonne. But going back to, what they were talking about before is that was sort of their approach, is to sort of lessen the amount of Walking Dead content coming out per year, to make it a little bit more, I guess, exciting and to not, make people so tired of it, which I totally get. I get that. But I also think that it's pretty drastic to drop from 40 something hours to like what, 12 hours or whatever it's at now, because it seems like there's only 6 hours or 6 episodes coming out per year, right? Or per year, but per show, and there's 2 shows per year. Like this year, it's only going to be 12. Last year, there was more because they had to end Fear the Walking Dead, but this year, it's only going to be that because I'm assuming Dead City is going to be out probably in February 2025. We are going to get teasers and stuff before then. There's going to be stuff to talk about, obviously, throughout a little bit more. Again, add an extra episode or 2, and I think people would be overall fine. But to get into this one quote here from the article, it says, "So far, at least, The Ones Who Live appears to have bucked the trend, with the first 2 episodes topping the charts for cable dramas this season in key demographics. The February 25th premiere attracted a combined total of 3 million viewers across multiple showings on AMC and simulcasts on other networks. On AMC alone, the debut drew 1.3 million viewers, with episode 2 bringing in 1.4 million. The series premiere is also the most watched episode ever on AMC+. So that part there I was a little surprised by. Like, honestly, I heard of the 3 million number, obviously, but the 1.3 and then it increased in episode 2. I don't know where these numbers come from, to be honest, but like they do say here, like Dead City and Daryl Dixon, the premiere for both of those spinoffs, were 1 million and then 851,000 respectively. So Daryl Dixon so far is like the least viewed show, which I find very, very honestly surprising, because to me, I'm not going to say it's better than The Ones Who Live, because I'm really enjoying The Ones Who Live right now, but Daryl Dixon's a very good show. It is a very, very good show. If you want to learn more about variant walkers, like that show is just absolutely incredible. But again, this was during a time where people weren't really focusing on The Walking Dead. So I feel like those numbers there are probably going to increase in the next, little bit here. That's probably why, to be honest, Daryl Dixon is premiering in the summer. They want those numbers to increase for that show, and then they'll take a break for a bit and then come back for Dead City, right? That's, I'm assuming, what they're doing here, because otherwise, you probably would have had Daryl Dixon air in the fall. But I think if it comes out, like say Daryl Dixon airs in June or July or something like that, or August, you could release a teaser trailer or something, which I expect them to do, at the end of The Ones Who Live. Like as soon as the finale airs, there's probably going to be a trailer, which is like in a couple of weeks from now, which is kind of insane, end of this month or whatever. So we're probably going to get a teaser trailer for episode 2. And so I think people, having not checked out The Walking Dead in a very long time, after watching this whole story here, seeing everything happen with Rick and Michonne, are probably like, I wonder what the other characters are up to. Like, what's Daryl up to? Because Daryl was so popular, right? It's like, what's Daryl up to right now? And then you sort of hear he's in France, this and that, and then they release a teaser where you see some stuff there. And also probably Carol, right? Like, she'll probably be in that teaser. So I think that's probably why they released it more in the summer, because I think people are going to be more like, after coming off of this show, they're going to want more. So I think it makes sense to do it like that. But this article really does praise, The Walking Dead, and really says that, they've honestly done a really incredible job at like, I guess keeping this franchise alive, and the fact that it's almost, I don't want to say better than ever, but the ratings are so incredible right now. And everyone is really, I know people want a season 2. Like at this point, it's just it's out there a lot. Like people really want another season, and there's been no decision made yet. Like we don't know exactly for sure. I know people say, well, they announced it as a miniseries. That changed. Like that definitely changed. It's not a miniseries anymore. It could just be left as is, but there's so much interest in a second season. To do another season would be really, really smart by AMC. And again, I think this is what Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrero wanted. Like they wanted this show to be almost this impactful in the way that, if they were to do a season 2, it's people wanting it. People like really saying, I want more, I want more, right? Not just like with other shows where it's like they announce a season 2 and you're excited. You're like, oh, this is so awesome, but it's not the same sort of excitement here. Like people would honestly be very, very destroyed if this is it. If there's not a second season, people are going to be destroyed. And I think people feeling like that, they're going to be asking, I want more, I want more. Like, you're just going to want more. And so if they ever announce the season 2, Rick and Michonne are coming back again, people are going to freak out about that. It's going to be so big. And I think that's what they wanted here with all of this. And it's so interesting. Again, the article talks a lot about sort of the fatigue in a lot of franchises. And you look at Marvel and whatnot, and for me, what it always was with Marvel is that since Endgame happened, there hasn't really been a storyline that I've really cared about too much. Like, I liked Loki. I liked the Spider-Man movie, but like there hasn't been a lot in the story there that's made me so excited for everything in the future. Like it's not really a fatigue. It's more of like there's nothing that's really that entertaining or interesting. I don't really care overall. That's mostly the issue here. It's not like I'm fatigued of all of this stuff. I think maybe there was a little bit of it. People do want an ending, and like Endgame really was well done. Honestly, I've never had a movie theater experience like that. That ending was, it was mind blowing. When Captain America picked up Thor's hammer, I was freaking out. Like I haven't ever experienced a moment like that in anything. I'm including Walking Dead in that too. Like I never experienced a moment like that ever in any sort of media of anything that I've ever watched, whether it be a song or anything. Like the excitement in that moment because of the years and years of build up was just phenomenal, right? And I think since that moment there just hasn't been a lot, in terms of, I guess, really caring for, I guess the story and all that. And I do keep an eye on it. I do want more stories there. I want there to be more interesting and compelling stories to be told, and for fans to be very happy and whatnot. But there hasn't been a lot. It's been very, like, I honestly, I don't even know what's going on with Marvel anymore. Like, I know actually Deadpool's coming out later this year, so I'm watching that. I am definitely watching that. But is that movie going to change everything around for me? Probably not, because they're going to go into like what, the multiverse and all of that. Deadpool can, change a lot of stuff. And to me, I just find that very like, okay, so you're just going to correct a lot of the mistakes you did over the last however many years, which fine, you can totally do that. But I view it like, I don't really care. I think that Spider-Man, where they ended off in the last movie, I think going forward, that could be a very interesting story, because Spider-Man's going to be more grounded now. Maybe that's where you start, right? And then you sort of build up from there. Blade is a movie I'm really looking forward to. I love that character. Growing up, those movies were honestly like my favorite. Like I loved Matrix, Blade. Oh man, there's so many good movies back in the day that I loved as a kid. And so I hope that, the new movie here is done really well. And again, it's not really fatigue, I would say. It's just that you need better stories. And I think with The Walking Dead, it's sort of the same thing. Like you look at the last couple of years, I have enjoyed it. I definitely have enjoyed it. But you get shows like Tales of the Walking Dead, World Beyond, season 1 and 2. Season 2 definitely was better, but you get these different stories where it's like, yes, I'm okay with watching it, but like I can see how a lot of other people don't care. And if you do watch that, maybe it just sort of, makes you not want to watch anything else anymore. I totally get that. So, it's not, I feel like, fatigue. It's maybe a little bit of that, but it's also just like you need better stories. And I think what AMC did here was very, very smart, because they were just like, you know what? We are going to like not have, however many episodes out every single year. We're not going to do these 16 episode seasons and all of that anymore. We're going to go down to 6 episodes. Again, I think they could do 8 episodes, even 10, but if they do want to do just 8, I think 8 works really well. Definitely, I think it works better than 6. But anyways, they're focusing on the quality and making this more of a cinematic experience, making the stories, matter so much more. And there's a big difference with these shows compared to the original Walking Dead. Like such a big difference. And I think that is making people genuinely interested in it again. Like there's something about it where, when AMC announced, I guess, that deal with McFarlane, where I got immediately like, oh, I'm so excited for this. Like I'll collect all those figures and whatnot. Like I definitely will. I used to do that back in the day. And then you just kind of stop doing it because, I don't know, again, I don't know what it is. Is it fatigue? Do you not care so much anymore? I mean, I do have a few things, like I have the beta record, or Half Moon live in concert, or whatever it says. But there's a few things there. I do have I guess the Snow Globe from, it's a season 9 finale, like the snow episode. I thought that was a really cool thing to get, but it's like, the look of The Walking Dead, it just kept looking the same. You'd watch a different show, a different season, and it just kept looking the same. It was the same sort of feel, and it was like, I don't know, you've been here before, right? And then the spinoffs come out, and the quality felt amazing. And the first thing that like completely changed everything here for me was when you see that first shot of Maggie, and she's looking at New York City from afar. You could just tell the quality, and I was like blown away by it. I was like, whoa, what is this? This looks incredible. The shot of Negan during the campfire scene when him and Maggie are just kind of sitting out there looks incredible. And I bring up this shot because this is Negan in the woods. Like, this is Walking Dead in the woods. But look how good it looks. It looks so much better than The Walking Dead has in so many years. And that look, that feel overall, it's in the other spinoffs as well. It's in Daryl Dixon. That show looks really, really good. There's a different feel to it because of the location, and there's different themes to the show overall, but it's in the same sort of, it's in the same atmosphere of all of this, and The Ones Who Live is the same exact thing. The show is just, it's so, it looks so incredible. Like, every episode is just, it's so thrilling to watch from beginning to end. You are not bored the entire time, and you want more. You always want more. And that is so different from the way The Walking Dead has been done in the last however many years. And so I think when I look at all of this here, it really is more of, quality over quantity. I really feel like that's exactly what it is here. It's just quality over quantity, and AMC, I think, is getting it right now. And again, it's not like, what they did before was bad or anything like that, because like, you do need to make those mistakes in order to sort of realize certain things and then, obviously go into certain directions with it. But I think that is what's going on with Marvel and other franchises out there right now, is I think there is just too much of it all the time. And the one thing I will say, I mean, you look at, shows like The Boys and all of that, and, that's a show that obviously, like, it comes out every year. There's not a lot of content with that. So I think that there is something to that. And that's the thing, and this might come back to an argument that I've sort of always had over the last however many years, and which is, Disney Plus, I feel like, kind of ruined Marvel in a way, because there's all of these shows that it just made every moment not as exciting. I feel like that's exactly what it is. It made every moment not that exciting, and there was just a lot of content all the time. And it's different. I don't know, Marvel movies, you go to the theater to watch. Like, you go to the theater to watch a Marvel movie. It's different watching a show on it, right? Like, it really is different. And like, all the movies that they're coming out with, I don't know, I just haven't really been a fan of it. I haven't really cared overall. There's not a clear direction, and there's just a lot of content coming out all the time. And I just feel like, I don't know, make a Daredevil movie. Like, why can't you make a Daredevil movie? Like, it has to be a TV show. Why? So I don't know. For me personally, I think that AMC is doing a really, really incredible job. And reading this article, I just felt so inspired by it. And also, what's kind of funny is just during the recording of this, I saw that Scott Gimple actually did tweet out this article, which is hilarious. So he tweeted out the article, and he said, "I very much believe in the family, the fans, and the future of The Walking Dead." And you just get a lot of people saying, "Season 2, please season 2." And again, the season 2 argument, I do think, is very important to talk about, because we're nearing the end here. Obviously, we're wondering about where the story is going, and is this going to be it? It doesn't feel like it's going to be it. I'll say that. Like, it feels like we're nowhere close to the end here. Like, the next episode here, what's going to happen? It's going to be focused on Rick and Michonne the entire time. The CRM is going to show up, and they're just going to escape. They might decide, all right, we're going to try to get away somehow. We're going to do this and that or whatever, and we're just going to try to get away. And I think that's what their plan's going to be, but there's so many things with this story where I'm like, well, what about what Okafor wanted to do? What about this and that? What about what Jada said and all of that? There's so many things where I don't think that's going to be the case, because Jadis is going to find them, and a lot of stuff's going to happen there. So I think that a lot of that, I find it really insane just to think about it like this. If episode 4 ends and they actually just like get away or whatever, and maybe the CRM's like chasing them, episode 5 Jadis is there, and how does that end? Maybe it ends on a cliffhanger where they're still battling, but what is the finale going to end in a way where they just get away, like Jadis is dead and gone, and now they're able to go back to Alexandria? Like, you're ignoring Major General Beale. Maybe he somehow enters the story and then he gets killed off. But like, when I look back at everything at that point, I'm just like, okay, so basically once you and Michonne got there, you escaped that episode pretty much. I mean, you got that episode 2, escaped in episode 3, and then you never looked back. You were gone, and that was it. Like, that was such a simple story. It was very easy. Like, they're getting away right now. There's a lot of hope. They're feeling really amazing. I think that it's going to go a different direction, though. I think that they are coming back. They are going to be getting brought back. I think they're going to be talking to Major General Beale about everything, and I think there's a lot of the story's not done. It's not going to be that easy. There wasn't all this hype for so long for it to end this easily. So I think that there is going to be more because you just, again, you look at what Scott Gimple tweeted and you see a lot of the fans reacting. Like, everyone wants a season 2 at this point. Everybody just wants another season. Then I also just saw this here. AMC TV actually retweeted this here. Matt Brennan posted this. I guess he referenced Greg Braxton, I believe is how you say his name. Yeah, he's the one who wrote the article. Really incredible article here. But yeah, the post here says, as at GE Braxton reports for LA Times, the return of Rishon to The Walking Dead has been a bright spot at a tough moment for both Hollywood franchises and basic cable networks. And AMC is hoping it will be a model for how to weather the storm. So there's so much written about this show. The Ones Who Live, I can't even believe how amazingly it's done. So many people are praising this show. This show is talked about constantly. Like, it's setting records here and there. A lot of people are watching. They love this show. The show is so good. And it's literally like AMC is like, look at what we did. We had a franchise that was so crazy successful, and then all of a sudden it died out, and you had a lot of people saying, oh, is this show still on? Which, by the way, I don't see those comments anymore. A lot of people were saying that, and they made some changes here. You know, they built up to this moment here. They ended The Walking Dead and started to focus on quality over quantity. And really, you know, if you just look at what they did, I am sure Marvel, a lot of other franchises are looking at The Walking Dead and being like, look what they did with that. Like, yes, you have to ignore Dead City and Daryl Dixon, because even though those shows had amazing quality, like, people come back to watch for Rick and Michonne, right? So now I think people having watched this and they're like, wow, this story is really good. They're going to go back and watch those shows, but those shows came out first. So, but it's just, you know, to me, there's so much praise here for The Ones Who Live. Everyone's talking about it so much here, and I just don't see how this is it. You know, it's going to get a season 2. It has to. At this point, it needs to get a season 2. I would be so stunned, like absolutely stunned if this was it, especially considering where the story's at and everything. Like, there's so much excitement. Like, every single Sunday is like insane. Like, so many people are talking about The Ones Who Live. So many people are talking about a lot of different elements with the Walking Dead universe. And you don't even have like Daryl and like Maggie, Carol, and Negan, right? Like, you don't have any of them right now. You just have Rick and Michonne. And remember, like, yes, people love those characters, but Daryl Dixon is a very popular character. Like, people love Daryl. So I think that, you know, having watched this, people might go back and check out Daryl Dixon. Well, I know people will. I just don't know if it's going to be everyone, but people are going to go back and check it out and be like, what is this about? And I think with that show, it's so interesting enough that I think people are going to be fans of it as well, right? Like, you look at it and you see the variant walkers and all of that and just the setting and everything. It looks so awesome. Like, it's so cool that it's like, this is so exciting. Like, this is amazing. And again, you do need those human stories. Like, I think the Rick and Michonne show works so well because of the human story with all of it, right? Like, Rick and Michonne trying to find each other and all of that. And I mean, they've been together, but they're trying to like make this work and everything, right? And defeat the CRM and everything here because of their family back home. And I think that is something that this show can really focus on. If it gets, say, 3 seasons, you know, over the course of those 3 seasons, it could be all about trying to make it so that Alexandria is fine, or like, you know, just making it back to their family so that they don't have to worry about any of this anymore, right? I think that would be incredible. You get Morgan to come back in season 2, like, holy man, like, people are going to be freaking out. And Daryl Dixon, I think there's so much there as well. You can make so many connections with the group that Rick and Michonne's with. And that's the thing I will say to Gimple, you know, I mean, Gimple's not watching this, but like, if I were to say anything to Gimple, I would say, you know, with all of these people watching The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live right now, when they go check out season 2, because they're probably going to check out season 2 of Daryl Dixon, you should really make, like, there should be some really awesome connections to The Ones Who Live where people are like, whoa, are they connected? Like, is Madame Janae connected in some way with the CRM? Is there something there? Because if there was something there, then people get really excited about that, right? They get so excited about the fact that Rick and Daryl could see each other again, you know, after all this time and all of that. And it just makes it so that it's just, it's exciting, you know? And I'm not really like, and you know, for Dead City, I will say that as well. Dead City, the story was good. It definitely was a smaller story. I think for season 2, it does have to get better though. Or not better, just bigger. That's more of what I mean to say. Because you know, a lot of people didn't like Dead City compared to the other ones, but I like Dead City. Episode 3 of that show is honestly a really phenomenal episode. Like, if you haven't watched anything of The Walking Dead in a long time, or even if you have, episode 3 of Dead City, season 1, to me is like the classic Walking Dead episode. It's the most classic Walking Dead episode ever. It reminds me of the earlier episodes. Like, it ends with a song playing and this and that, and like the whole story is it's so well done. I just think for season 2 you should start to make some more connections and all of that with the CRM, because you're so close. And the one thing that the Croat does is the Croat, he uses fuel, or uses walkers to create fuel and all of that. And I'm just like, I know this is a question in the Q&A that I got, but that would be really interesting, to actually see that they are sort of connected in some way. Like there is some stuff going on there, right? I think that would be really, really cool just to make some sort of connections there. Have Dwight appear on that show, because Dwight's going back to the sanctuary. I think that'd be really amazing. You could have both Dwight and Sherry on Dead City. I think that would work really well. But yeah, The Ones Who Live is obviously, like, the show right now is getting a lot of praise. People are really, really loving this show, and I am as well. Definitely, I've been wanting this for a while for The Walking Dead. Like, we've all been here for so many years, still really loving the shows and stuff. And I've always liked it all. Like, I look at season 10 and 11 of The Walking Dead. Season 10 I really like. Season 11 I do really like. It's just that I think the whole entire time, if I didn't know that the Rick movie trilogy, at the time we thought it was the movie trilogy, but if that wasn't happening and it was just going to be just that, I feel like the story wouldn't be as exciting, because the Commonwealth arc isn't exciting, right? Like, I felt the same way in the comics as well. During the comic arc, as soon as they were introduced, I was like, oh, what is this? And then immediately it was like, this is boring. Like, right away. And then World Beyond, that was, oh man, like season 2 got better because Jadis was there and they were talking about more things and getting into Cure stuff and all of that. It was like, oh, what's this, right? And they're really teasing a lot of stuff for the other spinoffs and stuff. So that was exciting. Tales of the Walking Dead, there was an episode or two that I liked, but overall it was like these stories feel so pointless. And I'm not gonna go into it a lot, but it's just, you could have made a lot more stories that matter more, like easily. It's like such easy decisions to make those stories matter more, but they chose not to do that. So now we're at this point here, and also Fear the Walking Dead. I mean, that's, I don't even want to talk about Fear the Walking Dead. Fear the Walking Dead is just like, I wish this show never existed. Well, not really. I don't wish that, because I really like the Clark family, but it's just, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating with where the show went that I can't believe those stories were actually written. So I'm happy that show's over, because those characters like Morgan and Dwight and Sherry bring those characters onto these spinoffs here. These spinoffs are really incredible. So yeah, looking back at it now, The Walking Dead is in such an amazing place, and I never imagined that The Ones Who Live would do this. I thought that it was going to be the #1 show out of all the 3 spinoffs. I already figured that it was going to break records. I didn't think we'd have all these people talking about it, that it would be like a whole, like, if you want to save your franchise, if it's going through a fatigue moment or this and that, this is how you do it kind of thing. I didn't think it was going to be like this big, right? So when I look at this overall, I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I think there is going to be a season 2. I feel so confident with this. Like, there is no way this is just going to be it, unless somehow this show ends with Rick or Michonne dying. If that's it, and this is the end of their story here, then I guess that's going to be it. But I think that we should get another season. I do feel pretty confident in it. I mean, AMC hasn't seen this much praise, I feel like, in a while, in terms of Walking Dead content. And I don't know how, like, I know that Gimple wants to do that. I know AMC wants to do that. I feel like for Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera, again, it's going to be probably the same sort of thing. They're going to get to work on a story, and then it's going to be, like, this is the most exciting part, right? Is to come up with the next part here and having to, like, work on what to do next, like newer characters to introduce, this and that, and make the story, another really epic, exciting chapter. It's writing, right? I know that's one part of it that, Denai Guerrera really likes. Like, she's a writer, right? So I think that's, that has to be a part to it where she's like, I'm really interested in what I could do next, to make this story even better, right? Which, again, episode 4 is her episode. I think it's her debut episode for writing in terms of a Walking Dead episode, right? So yeah, I'm definitely very excited for this. So yeah, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live is in a really amazing place, and I just wanted to talk about that because I read this article and I was just like, you know what? I have to talk about this because it's really just amazing to see. And as a Walking Dead fan, obviously, I love it. I love seeing that The Walking Dead is doing this amazingly. So anyways, post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.